voice acting group on YouTube who has released over 300 episodes at this point, a number of series ranging from Ace Attorney to Danganronpa to Katawa Shoujo, a number of dub series. And, of course, all the dub series, we do our visual novels, so we thought it would be a great idea to do a panel on the many weird and strange visual novels that we've seen.
And some of the good. You know.
And some of the good ones, too. We will show you so that there are some good ones out there, in case you've only seen the bad ones.
Of course, good and weird are not mutually exclusive.
Absolutely.
So, there's that.
There are some very well-written, weird novels that you never would have actually thought would turn out well.
Okay, so first of all, does anybody not know what a visual novel is? That's what I thought. Okay.
That starts things off well.
Yes.
There are quite a few things that can make a visual novel very good as opposed to bad. And it can be little things like a good soundtrack that really sets the scene and the mood appropriately for the levels of emotion that they have. It can have good characters, very well-drawn art. It can have a story that really connects you to it and makes you want to find out what's happening next with every choice that you make. And a big thing about visual novels is that there are so many different choices and so many endings you can get that it's a choose-your-own-adventure book that you're self-controlling for the pace of this character.
Very often.
In a sense, it's a choose-your-own-adventure book on steroids, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Because since it's digital, you can make it as long or short as you want.
Absolutely. Some visual novels do, in fact, actually include voice acting, but not all of them do. We happen to specialize in ones that don't include them normally, because we'll then take them and voice them ourselves for YouTube. That's what we do. Anyway, things that would make a bad visual novel.
Endings that don't go anywhere. That's something. I mean, a lot of visual novels, there's some visual novels that don't have that choice, but the ones that do sometimes have so many endings that there's no point to even getting them all if they don't add to the story or anything like that.
There are some visual novels that do just feel like they're wasting your time, and you will know them when you see them. Sometimes it could be the art that's the issue, but if everything else is great, the art is not a problem.
For example, I played this one visual novel recently that some people might have heard of called Umineko, and I played the original version, which honestly, in my opinion, the artwork is awful. But so many people had told me it's good that I tried it, and you know what? It wasn't actually that bad. I enjoyed it despite the artwork. So while the artwork is good, it doesn't actually make the visual novel, sometimes.
Other things that could make a bad visual novel are characters that are overdone, stereotypical, bland, or just absolutely add nothing to a scene. Or it could be that there's an absolutely ridiculous concept for the visual novel itself that just makes you not be able to see why anyone would bother to make it.
For example, the one I was talking about earlier, the dating sim where you date your printer. Why?
Why not?
Why?
Some people want to date printers, some people want to date trains, some people want to date bugs.
If you were ever into Thomas the Tank Engine, there you go.
There is, in fact, a game for that.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
And some games I would consider bad visual novels just because they do, in fact, have H scenes that come out of nowhere, have nothing to do with the plot, just are completely pointless.
H scenes, by the way, if you do not know, are porn.
Hentai.
Hey, that was plot relevant in there.
I need more
in the Fate Stay Night one.
So most visual novels actually do contain these. Not all of them, but a good majority contain H scenes, and that's only because their origin, back in the 80s, the first visual novels were eroge games, which were apparently porn games made to help couples improve their sex life. So that's where everything originated from, with visual novels.
They were educational.
Very educational.
In any case.
So we have a few examples of visual novels here, for better or worse. Here, An Octave Higher is one that's on Steam. It's very good. That one is Snatcher, a game that was made by a very little-known programmer named Hideo Kojima. That one, and that's Cartagra. That's a really good visual novel that I would recommend, and we're going to go over that later. Ace Attorney. Who knows Ace Attorney in here? Katawa Shoujo. Yeah. So there are, these days there are many different types of visual novels. Originally they started out as eroge, but have moved to these very different genres. For example, we have the game 999, which is a visual novel for the Nintendo DS that has text portions that transition into puzzle rooms to continue. So you complete the puzzle and continue the story, and it's a huge, big mystery. We're dubbing that one as well, so I would highly recommend that.
A lot of visual novels do have a lot of gameplay elements other than just the pure texts and choices. But not all do. Some are more static, but some could have you do things like... Oh.
That's our morality system.
This game has a morality system that you can choose from.
Also underwear. Yes.
No.
We'll go back to 999.
Yes.
Okay.
This has a lot of puzzle games where you have to solve a lot of different puzzles in order to advance the plot to the next portions of the visual novel itself.
But the twist about the game is that, like many visual novels, it has many different endings, and in this particular one, the endings you get are determined by the order of doors that you go through and the order of puzzles you complete. That's a very good one that has really good, all the endings in that are very good, so recommend that. Now we go to our next slide, which we just showed about the morality system. Some games, especially dating sims, have a morality system where if you piss somebody off, you're more likely to get a bad ending, of course, than if you encourage somebody or were nice to somebody. School Days is one of those games. We also have Quick Time Events, Wolf Among Us. That's also actually a visual novel. It has visual novel elements because it's mostly a game where you watch people do stuff and there's a lot of text in Quick Time Events and not a whole lot of gameplay.
And other games have more of an RPG-style leveling system.
For example, Sakura Taisen.
So there's a lot of different styles that can be tied in with the visual novels themselves.
Another example of these would be Fire Emblem, if anybody's played it.
Oh, absolutely. So, strategy, absolutely, in between all the parts of the visual novel itself, moving the plots along.
And now we have porn. Porn, and also Smash.
Which is also porn, but not as porny as some of the other porns.
Yes. It's a sci-fi cyberpunk novel that was a good transition away from the previous Arrow games that existed.
Yes, and this was Hideo Kojima's game. So this transitioned us into the realm of what's called Nakige, which are crying games like Too Hard and Canon.
The games that are feelsy, really connect you to characters, so
Yes.
These are the games you play if you want to get catharsis, which is, a wonderful feeling.
So in essence, you guys might have Hideo Kojima to thank for taking visual novels away from just porn.
Yeah!
Yay! Yes.
of course, a lot of that does still exist.
Clannad is also a crying game. A very sad game, in fact, but I hear from a lot of people it's very good. And then we have our dramatic games.
Other games are more dramatic, and it's less about more romantic elements or emotional connections to characters, and it's more about strategy and action and dealing with a more stressful situation. And magic, of course.
Obviously magic, because how can you have a visual novel without magic? And then we have our kinetic games like Umineko, like I described earlier, and those are the games that don't have any choices, it's just one giant book.
And some of these kinetic novels can get very long. For example, Umineko itself is, 70, 80 hours?
Yeah.
A lot of these kinetic novels and visual novels can be longer than actual books that you would pick up at bookstores. And especially with all the different branches of it that you can go to with the different endings. These can be very long to go through sometimes, though there are, of course, shorter ones as well.
So if you're picking out a visual novel, you might want to keep in mind the balance of, is this going to be worth my 80 hours of reading?
Something about Fate Stay Night from the previous one is actually, it has so many distinct branches that you can go through that it's actually inspired many different anime for it. There's the original Fate Stay Night anime, and then there's Unlimited Blade Works, which is currently just came out. And then there's Heaven's Feel, which as another route, and all of them are animated distinctly by different companies, in fact, for a few of them.
Indeed. So, other than Umineko, we also have Juniper's Knot, which is a bit of a shorter visual novel that's a kinetic one. That's made by, I believe, the same people that made An Octave Higher, or at least it's drawn by the same people. So, Juniper's not. And then we have our dating sims, which are probably the type of visual novel you've heard of if you've never played a visual novel.
Right, or don't know that you've played a visual novel, but presume all of them are dating sims.
Exactly.
They're not, but quite a few of them are, of course.
Yes. And of course there are dating sims for every walk of life, as we were discussing before the panel. Whether you like males, females, aliens, insects, printers, dinosaurs, pigeons, whatever you want, there's probably a dating sim for it.
Yes. There's a dating sim for everything.
Exactly.
Except for sewing machines.
Apparently not. If this is cool, they should make it.
Marianne, you need to make that visual
I
novel.
might.
Actually, there is one.
Really?
It's not out yet. I saw it on the Japanese website that it's going to be coming out, I think, February.
That'll be just right.
It's coming.
All are sewing machines. Every
man.
cosplayer's dream.
Man, if I had made that visual novel, I would just title it So What? So we have our female dating sims and our otome game like Sweet Fuse, which is actually a pretty fun otome game that's a lot like Danganronpa. You can believe that. Pretty much has exactly the same protagonist, except he's a pig instead of a bear.
And there's a little less murder.
And aside from all the happy stuff, we also have our Utsuge. Depressing. Because some people like see the beauty in sadness, essentially, and that's never a bad thing.
And some stories just don't have happy endings. Some will just bring you on a tragic course and then leave you feeling for these characters and knowing that nothing would really ever get better for them.
Like real life.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Karano Shoujo is a visual novel I would recommend because it's very beautifully drawn and written. We're actually going to be reviewing a prequel of that here later called Cartagra, but definite recommendation. And we also have character-driven, like Cartagra, for example. And also Ace Attorney, of course.
Yeah. Because not every visual novel is about romance.
Nope, not at all. Although there are many shippable pairs in Ace Attorney.
Oh,
I just have to put that out there. And Moeg, which is love of defining characteristics. You like your anime girls with exaggerated eyes and faces? Well, that's the kind of game for you. The original Umineko that I was talking about was drawn in a similar sort of genre. And everybody had butts as hands, basically. It was drawn that well. Alright, and then we have lots and lots and lots of cute girls.
Yes.
Good old the shoujo.
Shoujo or gal games. If you like a lot of cute girls, these are the ones for you. Not all of them are in fact dating sims, but a lot of them are because there's just so many cute girls to choose from and learn about and date and,
Pretty sure all of them are eroge, though.
There are some that aren't.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yes, there are.
Like two.
For example, this one I don't believe is eroge, actually. But I could be wrong. We'll see. So,
Other games do in fact have different versions of them that they put out. One with the for and one without, depending on the audience that they're selling it for.
Katawa
I know
Shoujo
Molly
had
where it does
that.
that one.
Katawa Shoujo had that. That game was actually awesome enough to have an option where you can turn off the adult content if you want.
Yes.
So, moving on to our reviews. We have mentioned this visual novel many a time in this panel already. This is Cartagra, a game by Innocent Gray.
Yes. This is a very character-driven one about a detective who is staying in a brothel, and he gets a note saying that his ex-girlfriend has gone missing, and her family is hiring him to go and find her. Meanwhile, there's a lot of murders going around in the area, and somehow it might all be related.
Indeed.
Or not. You never know, until you get the various endings. This is also one that we are currently dubbing, so if you are interested in hearing it voiced.
This is our deadbeat detective main character, Shugo, who has to learn to step out of his comfort zone while solving the mystery and dealing with all these murders around the area. There are many... I wouldn't say, well, there's endings in this game, but the only ones that are really worth getting are the true and the neutral ending that you have to get the true endings because all of the other endings involve just, pointless H scenes that don't really advance the story. But that's Innocent Gray, that's sort of their style.
Yeah, that is my biggest gripe about this game. None of the H scenes are really necessary, and you have one for pretty much every female character, whether they're actually straight or not.
Pretty much.
Uh-huh. And yet no Toji Kazuna.
Nope, no
And that's
Toji
the one
Kazuna.
thing that I would actually ship in that game.
They were the most shippable pair in that game, and yet this was the start of an H scene between these two. We were so upset.
But the writing is absolutely fantastic for this. It flows really well, music is good. It can be a little slow sometimes, but it definitely picks up and it is well worth reading through.
Yes, the true ending is well worth going through it, and it's not very long compared to other visual novels. It's maybe, I want to say 10, 15 hours. I finished it within maybe 3 afternoons. So, it's not too bad. And that's Nana, that's Shugo's,
That's
sort
the
of
sister.
crazy, perverted little sister.
Because
She
of course that's
causes-
a character.
She's a character that causes trouble and also knows way too much about what's going on. Okay, and we have our second visual novel, Sound of Drop, which is a horror game that came out on Steam at the end of October this past year. I decided to pick it up because it sounded really interesting. It's from the same people that made Sakura Spirit. Anybody heard of that? Sakura Spirit.
This is also a very good example of a game that's not, in fact, about porn.
Yes, in fact, there is no romance in this game. It's all horror. All really gory people die.
With little kids.
Yes, not little kids, high schoolers, but still.
No way, high schoolers.
This one is about 2 girls that hear that their aquarium is haunted, so they go in to investigate and end up getting sucked into an alternate dimension full of vengeful spirits and fish that want to eat them and destroy them because they have dared to wander into their realm. So the pull of this game is that it has 4 good endings, and I'll let the audience guess how many bad endings it has, and I'll give you a hint, it's over 10.
16.
16?
Higher.
22.
Higher.
5.
Higher.
25 is close.
22. 30.
Lower than 30.
28.
27. 27 bad endings.
4 good endings, 27 bad endings that you can get.
Lovely. Sweet.
Well, see, the thing about the bad endings in this game is 99% of the time it's really easy to tell. Well, every choice has a bad ending, that's why there's so many. But usually it's very easy to tell what you're supposed to do in the game. You know, I found myself many times in the game going, oh, well, this choice is obvious, I want to see what happens if I press the bad ending. You know, because, you know, I'm morbidly curious like that.
But it's also a game where if you try to help your friends, you're probably going to die.
Yes, exactly. You cannot help your best friend in this game or you will die. It's so mean like that. So I do say 99% of them are obvious because there is one particular choice where you can call somebody by one name or another name, and if you pick the wrong one in the next section, you get speared in the heart by a ghost swordfish for no reason.
It's a little harsh.
Yes. There are some very zany fish-related deaths in this game that are actually kind of creative. There's one involving a bunch of jellyfish falling out of some glass cages and then, you know, crawling over you and dripping acid and all this other stuff. And there's also an ending where you get eaten by orcas that are flying in the air instead of in the water.
So, you know, it's a very realistic game where you're likely to die.
Very realistic, yes.
The music is actually very good in this, right?
Oh yes, the music's very creative as well because there's this one particular song they use for atmosphere in this game where they remix whale cries to like a techno beat, and it really works, especially for the scene where you're about to get eaten by orcas. That's the best friend that, the pink-haired girl is the best friend you're never supposed to save until the end or else you die. In fact, one of the main things you need to remember in this game to avoid bad endings is always move forward. If you move backwards, you will die. If you try to help the pink-haired girl, you'll die. And if you try to leave the aquarium too early, you'll die.
So, you know, if you're up for a challenge, this is a very good one for trying to actually survive through the end. And so it's very good at upping tension if you know that at any given turn, if you make the wrong move, you're probably going to have to start over or go back to another save state.
Indeed. As far as the quality of the endings go, 2 out of the 4 bad endings are really good, and the other 2 are pointless. Regarding the bad endings, or I should say, did I say good endings or bad endings? I can't remember.
These are bad endings.
Oh, well, I meant good endings the first time. Anyways, so the bad endings, if you're a completionist, take a look at them, but, you know, they just kill you. I mean, that's it. If you really want to see all of them, then you can see all these really chibi bad ending screens at the end.
They're so cute.
which are kind of
Are so
entertaining.
cute.
Aw.
They're so rewarding when you finally died to see something cute like that pop up on the screen.
I love how the girl on the bottom right, who is honestly pretty emotionless throughout the entire game, is just like, I'm drowning and I don't give a crap. And now we have one of the more popular visual novels of this day and age, Katawa Shoujo.
This is actually one of the few visual novels that originated in America. Not a lot of people probably realize that, or they do. But also, it was developed by some people through 4chan, of all places. They can produce good things, occasionally.
It's completely a collaboration through the internet of people just getting together and saying, hey, we're looking for artists for this. Hey, is anyone else wanting to help with the writing? Does anybody know how to work with this software? They got together and they actually made something happen, and they put it up for free on the internet afterwards for everyone else to enjoy.
Right, so Katawa Shoujo is your more stereotypical, it's a dating game. Premise to this one is that you're dating disabled girls. And that sounds really initially, but the main character starts off the game by getting a heart attack, and they find out that he's got heart palpitations, and so he has to go to this school specifically for kids with disabilities, medical conditions, so they have 24-hour doctor staff and stuff. So it's not so much that I'm gonna date the armless chick because knock one off the list. No, it's more these are the people that he is surrounded by, and these are the people that he gets to know, and they are really people in this game. It's one of the things I love about it is that every single route is totally different. And they're all very unique characters, and it focuses more on their personalities and who they are as people and not their disabilities. Just some of the routes focus on how these disabilities have affected them, of course, but it's not necessarily they don't all do that, and that's not who that person is. This girl, for instance, Hanako, is burned all the way down half of her body. And that's not necessarily who she is. She's not the burn victim, She's this shy girl who, just needs a friend.
And this game
Back to our really downer screenshot here.
Yeah.
She can't hug anyone because she has no arms.
This game is very emotional, particularly even from the start, because he's being thrown into a situation he never wanted a part of. It's a lot about adjusting in your life to things that happen to you. So it's throughout the different routes, Hisao, the main character, grows different ways, and he has to learn to accept parts of himself that he never really wanted before, whether it's moving forward to try to actually exercise and be better, or focus more on his other interests other than soccer, and focus on reading, or joining a student council to be more social again after losing his previous life.
In short, it's a very beautiful game that just says that disabled people are people too.
Pretty much.
And it has a great soundtrack.
Yeah, the only negative thing I would have to say about the game is that some of the H scenes are kind of sprung upon you, where you're there was no lead up to this.
Hanako's particularly.
But
Shizune's.
Yeah.
Because this is such a collaborative game, it has many different writers working on it, so each route has a different main writer for it, so they have very different styles and they feel different as you go through them. And some of them did handle different situations a bit better for the writing to make it a little smoother. One writer was very good at writing H scenes, while not so great at integrating them to the rest of the plot.
Well, for the record, I know you guys said that you didn't really care for Shizune's H scenes, but I thought that they were very creative. I will give them that.
They were very well written, they were just pointless. But they were very well written.
I agree, I felt the same way about Hanako's. So, now that we've gone through all those very deep and wonderful visual novels, we have alpacas.
Have you ever wanted to be an alpaca or date one? Then this is the game for you.
I knew we had to talk about
Alpacas are number one. Alpaca.
Moving into our weirder ones.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the moment I saw the title of this, my immediate reaction was, Demon Llama!
Demon Llama!
Look how kawaii it is.
It looks like a giant fluffy marshmallow with eyes.
Or something else.
Some games are weird because even throughout them, they stick to such an absurd premise that you just can't take them seriously, and you never really can get into them because even as they're trying to move along whatever dating thing they're doing, you're still seeing that fluff on the screen.
Also, the translation. This one also was translated really well, and by really well, I mean I think they used Google Translate. So some of the scenes.
Go back to that one. There we go.
I was confused with the fluffy feelings. I don't think that was
Okay, I'm trying to find one of the really bad English ones.
The next one.
Yes. They were full of families and friends giving us blessing in from of the white church.
As you can see,
It's a beautiful love story, everyone. Of their love princess.
I mean, he accepts her even though she is sometimes an alpaca.
She is always an alpaca.
That is all he can see her as. But still, they persevere and stay together, even with this between them.
Did you know that alpacas can play violins? In this game, they can.
Yes. Oh, man. Alright, so, wow, that was quick, so that moves us on to our interactive portion already.
Alright, so...
And now for something completely different.
Yes, now for something different. We have a beautiful little clip from you from a little show you guys might have heard of called Gravity Falls.
A clip we cannot show you because of YouTube copyright, so click the description and the link below to see the actual clip that we showed.
So, we're going to start out with our audience interactive portion now, which is what we would like to call Let's Dub Jeopardy!
Interactive theater.
Interactive theater.
So for this part here, we'll need quite a few volunteers. First, we'll need one person to choose the first scene that we're doing, and then they can choose to either be a part of the scene or not, and leave that to everyone else.
Alrighty, let's see. Who do we have here? Well, we do have an eager beaver. I think we'll start over here with Joker Misty.
Let's Dub Project.